Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
श्री चैतन्य चरितामृत की जय।
Jai.
श्रील कृष्णदास कविराज गोस्वामी की जय।
Jai.
श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।
Jai.
समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय।
Jai.
ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to today's Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita reading. We are reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 6, the liberation of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. We were seeing the conversation between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So we saw recently that Mahaprabhu is asking, is pointing out the flaws in Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's philosophy. So what were the few things that Mahaprabhu said? So yesterday we saw 4 points, isn't it? The first one was that the Lord is a person. Absolute truth in the ultimate issue is a personality. He's the supreme Brahman, means supreme Brahman is the supreme personality of Godhead. So Mahaprabhu already established it by quoting from the Upanishads and from Srimad Bhagavatam. It is established that the absolute truth in the ultimate issue is a person and how he has these different energies that was said. So Mahaprabhu is saying the Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, is full of spiritual potencies and 6 types of opulences that are also spiritual. And how dare you say that he's without any potency? You don't accept that his potency is spiritual. This is simply due to your utter disrespect of the Supreme Lord. To say that the Lord has no potencies, when you say nirvishesha, that means he has no potencies. So to say this is not the Vedic statement, but you are giving your commentary like that. So this is utter impudence. Then the next thing is the Lord is the master of the potencies and the living entity is a servant of the potencies. That means there is a difference between the Lord and the living entity. What is the difference? The Lord is the master and the living entity is the servant. How? Srila Prabhupada explained in the purport. Just like as Paramatma, the Lord is there in the heart, the living entity is also there. But there is a difference between the two. The Lord is simply witnessing and he is sanctioning. He is not enjoying. He's controlling the energy. Whereas the living entity is a servant, right? Enjoying the fruits of his activities. So he is a servant. The living entity is a servant, whereas the Lord is the master. And how can you declare that the Lord and the living entities are one and the same on one hand. So the Lord and the living entities are different is said. How they are different? The Lord is the master and the living entity is the servant of the potencies. But you say that both are one, and on another hand, the Lord and the living entity are not completely different. So on one hand they are different. How they are different? One is master, the other is servant. And they're also not different. How they're not different? Because the Lord's marginal potency is this living entity. That means the living entity is also the energy of the Lord. It is the Shakti of the Lord. Shakti and Shaktiman are non-different. And you say that they are completely different. How you can say that they are completely different? Right? When you say completely different, I told you how you say the Lord's body is made of goodness and the living entity's body is made of ignorance. So both are completely different. Ishvara and living entity are completely different. Even though they are different on one level as master and servant, they are also same, because it is his energy. He is not completely different from the Lord. He is also the Lord's energy, like that. So how dare you say that they are completely different? Then the Lord is proving how they are not different, because the living entity is the Shakti of the Lord. That is said in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, texts 4 and 5. Bhumirapo nalo vayu kam mano buddhi revacha. And then apareya mitastonyam. So there we see that the living entity is a Shakti of the Supreme Lord. Shakti, Shakti matayor abhinnatvat. That means Shakti and Shaktiman are non-different. How many points did we see so far? First point is the Lord is full of potencies and you say he is without potencies. Second point is the Lord and the living entity is different, because the Lord is the master, Māyādhisha and Māyāvāsha. One is the master, the other is a servant. And you say both are equal, same. And the third point is the Lord and living entity are also same in the sense that the Lord is the energetic and the living entity is the energy. And you say that they are completely different. There's no connection at all. No, they're not completely different. They're also similar. In this way, they're similar. That one is the energy and the other is the energetic. The Lord is the energetic and the living entity is the energy. 3 points. Then one more point we saw, that you say that the Lord's body is material. It's made of material goodness. 4th point. Whereas in reality, the Lord's body is transcendental. Like this. And then finally, the Lord said, anyone who does not accept the Lord's body as transcendental, what do you call such a person? One who does not accept the Lord's body as transcendental, what is he called? Remember? Don't remember?
Nirishwarvadi.
Of course, Nirishwarvadi, but from Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the verse it comes, Pashandi.
Okay.
Pashandi. Yeah, Nirishwarvadi is correct. One who doesn't accept the Lord, the personality, is called Nirishwarvadi, of course. But here it is said Pashandi. Pashandi means, Prabhupada translated it as agnostic. Agnostic means he may be there, he is not there, like that. So you don't accept. It's a type of atheism, you can say. Right? So, but atheistic and Nirishwarvadi difference is, atheist is one who does not accept Vedas. Nirishwarvadi means one who does not accept God. So here, if you're not accepting the form of the Lord, means he is a Nirishwarvadi. So here in the verse it is said Pashandi. Okay, so now we'll go to the next verse. So text 167 says, one who does not accept the transcendental form of the Lord is certainly an agnostic. And what is the result? One who is an agnostic, who does not accept the transcendental form of the Lord, what is the result? He is untouchable, unseeable, and he is subject to be punished by Yamaraj, Yamadandi. Right? He is asprishya, adrishya. He unseeable. You shouldn't even look at him. You shouldn't even touch him. Untouchable, asprishya, adrishya, and Yamadandi. He is subject to the punishment of Yamaraj. Like this, Mahaprabhu is condemning a person who does not accept the form of the Lord as transcendental. Now let's read the next verse, 168. Vedanamaniya Bauddha Hoita Nastika. So here it comes, right? Nastik means atheist, right? Who is Nastika? Vedanamaniya Bauddha Hoita Nastika. Vedashraya Nastikyavada Bauddha ke Adhika. So, Bauddha means those who follow the Buddhists. Those who follow Buddha are Bauddha. Vedanamaniya. What is Buddhist philosophy? They reject the Vedas. Why? We all know by now. Yes? The Buddhists reject the Vedas. Why do the Buddhists reject the Vedas? Because in the Vedas there is animal sacrifice recommended. And taking undue advantage of this, in the name of the Vedas, on the authority of the Vedas, people were performing animal sacrifices indiscriminately. They were sacrificing big animals like horses and cows simply for the sake of eating their meat. They say this is being offered in a sacrifice, animal sacrifice, and this is our dharma. The Vedas have recommended this. And then they were killing them, offering in sacrifice, and then eating them. For the sake of eating, they were just like in today's world, you have slaughterhouses. So those were like on the authority of Vedas. It's like a slaughterhouse. They were sacrificing for the sake of eating. So then, because they were quoting the Vedas, Lord Buddha said, I don't care for your Vedas. And he rejected. And that became a philosophy, Buddha philosophy, Buddhist philosophy, Buddhism. So Buddhism should not be followed because it is Nastika. It is rejecting Vedas, so we should not accept. Even though Buddha is an incarnation of the Lord, still we should not accept. Why? Because who will tell us who is God? How do we know who is God? When Vedas tell us, that's when we know. Shastra Praman. For us, the Pramana authority is Shastra. Shastra is the mother. How do you know who is your father? When the mother tells you this is your father, that's when you know this is your father. On your own, can you know who your father is? The only authority in the entire creation who knows who your father is the mother. Similarly, the father is the supreme personality of Godhead, the mother is Vedas. So we take knowledge from the Vedas. Anyone who says you reject your mother, will you accept that person as your authority and reject your mother? No. Even if your father tells you you reject your mother, will you reject your mother? No. The mother tells us who the father is. So even though Lord Buddha is an incarnation of the Lord, we understand why Lord Buddha said that, but we should not follow Buddhism. Why? Because Vedas tell us Buddha is an avatar of the Supreme Lord, yet you should not follow Buddhism. Vedas tell us we follow our mother. So for us, Vedas are the pramana. We follow the Vedas. So the Buddhists, for not following Vedas, they are called Nastik. Nastik means those who don't follow Vedas, atheists. But what about the Māyāvādis? Buddhists are openly atheists. They say we reject the Vedas. But the Māyāvādis are even more cunning actually. The Buddhists you can tell because they openly say we reject, you understand that, oh, we have to stay away because they reject the Vedas. We don't have to follow that, right? But what about the Māyāvādi philosophy? Vedashraya Nastikyavada. Under the garb of being Astika, that means under the garb of following Vedas, being the followers of the Vedas, right? Vedashraya, as if taking shelter of the Vedas, they are promoting Nastika Vada, right? Nastikya Vada means atheism. They're promoting atheism under the dress of, being followers of the Vedas. This is cheating. At least the Buddhists are openly saying that we reject the Vedas. So no problem. Right? You say you reject the Vedas, we have nothing to do with you. Okay. But here the Māyāvādis say we are followers of the Vedas. Then we will say, oh, they are followers of the Vedas, so we will listen to them. And what do they tell you in the name of the Vedas? They will tell you that the Lord is impersonal. Lord means absolute truth. So personality of Godhead, he is actually temporary. The body is temporary, it is material. That means his activities, they're all material. His leelas, pastimes, his Bhagavad Gita, everything is material, according to them. This is Nastikavada, right? Atheism, covered atheism. This is covered atheism. This is because you won't be able to detect. You will think they're our people because they're all followers of Vedas, but actually they're doing greater disservice than the Buddhists. Vedashraya Nastikyavada Bauddha ke adhika. More dangerous than Buddhists are those who take shelter of the Vedas and then in the name of Vedas they are promoting atheism. Vedana Maniya Bauddha Hoita Nastika. Vedashraya Nastikyavada Bauddha ke adhika. The Buddhists do not recognize the authority of the Vedas, therefore they are considered agnostics. If you want to see the exact meaning of agnostic, I can look up. A person who holds the view that any ultimate reality such as God is unknown and probably unknowable. Yeah, that means I don't know and I don't care. Maybe they like that, right? They don't directly say, no, there is no God. Nobody knows if there is or there isn't, so we don't care. That is agnostic. So broadly, one who is not committed to believing in either the existence or non-existence. That's what it is, right? They're not committed to either. If you are an atheist, you'll openly say there is no God, or let's say Nirishwarvadi. If you are a Nirishwarvadi, you will openly say there is no God. But if you are an agnostic, you will say God may be there, maybe not there. I don't care. That's an agnostic. So the Buddhists do not recognize the authority of the Vedas, therefore they are considered agnostics. However, those who have taken shelter of the Vedic scriptures yet preach agnosticism in accordance with the Māyāvāda philosophy are certainly more dangerous than the Buddhists. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Although the Buddhists are directly opposed to Vaishnava philosophy, right? Openly they say, because anything which is given in the Vedas we reject. So they are directly opposed to Vaishnava philosophy. It can easily be understood that the Shankarites are more dangerous because they accept the authority of the Vedas, yet act contrary to Vedic instruction. They accept the Vedas, but they act in a way which is completely contrary to Vedic instruction. Vedashraya Nastikyavada means Anastikyavad means what? Agnosticism. Vedashraya means in the shelter of Vedas. Agnosticism under the shelter of Vedic culture. This is Māyāvāda. Vedashraya Nastikyavad means agnosticism under the shelter of Vedic culture and refers to the monistic philosophy of the Mayavadis. So monistic philosophy, there is Brahmavada, Brahmavadis and Mayavadis. I think we discussed it in the past, but we can refresh our memory one more time. Monism means there's only one absolute truth, and the ultimate absolute truth is Brahman, right? Monism, one. Like monopoly, you say, right? There's only one. So impersonalism. But those who follow those who are Brahmavadis, they don't reject the personality of Godhead. They don't offend the personality. But they consider that Brahman realization is the ultimate goal and they want that goal. The important difference between Brahmavadis and Mayavadis is Brahmavadis do not offend the personality of Godhead. Mayavadis offend the personality of Godhead. They give a philosophy to explain that the personality of the Lord is material, his body is material, so on and so forth. That is why they are offensive to the Supreme Lord. When you commit offenses to the Supreme Lord, how can you get liberation? It's not possible. That's why Māyāvādis don't get any liberation. But Brahmavadis, as long as they don't commit any offenses either to the Supreme Lord or to his devotees, both. Brahmavadis, even if they come, so what we call Gyanis, they are actually Brahmavadis. Even if they come to the highest stage of Jivan Mukta. Jivan Mukta means while still in this body, they are already in a liberated stage. That means they have transcended the modes. They have even realized Brahman, but they have not merged into Brahman yet. Even in that stage, if they commit an offense, either to Bhagavan or to the devotee, they will once again fall down. They will fall down from that status. Now, if the entire Māyāvāda philosophy itself is based on offense to the Supreme Lord, how can they make any progress? That is why about them it is said, Vimukta Maninaha. They are imagining that they are liberated. Actually, they are never liberated. So this is the difference between Māyāvādis and Brahmavadis. So what about Shankaracharya's philosophy? What are they? Māyāvādis or Brahmavadis? They are Māyāvādis. So Shankara philosophy, they are called Advaitins, Advaita philosophy, right? So they are actually Māyāvādis, offensive to the Supreme Lord. So here we are talking about monism. Here we refer to Māyāvādis only, because Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is speaking Māyāvāda philosophy. Vedashraya Nastikyavada means agnosticism under the shelter of Vedic culture, and refers to the monistic philosophy of the Māyāvādis. Lord Buddha abandoned the authority of the Vedic literature and therefore rejected the ritualistic ceremonies. Which ritualistic ceremonies did Lord Buddha reject? The animal sacrifice. So because of that, he just rejected all the Vedas wholesale. Lord Buddha abandoned the authority of the Vedic literature and therefore rejected the ritualistic ceremonies and sacrifices recommended in the Vedas. Do you ever get a question why the Vedas even recommend animal sacrifice? Did you ever consider, or do you know why the Vedas even recommend animal sacrifices? Yes, Prabhuji.
The animal will get better life in future and instantly.
Yes, correct. That's the reason. So it's actually done as an experiment. So just like when you invent, a new medicine, or even sometimes even when you invent a new lotion or cream or shampoo or something, what do? Before it is sent out in the market, they test it on animals. Of course, it's not correct to do that, right? Because it is not authorized by scripture, therefore it's not correct to do that. Anyway, in real world, they actually experiment it on guinea pigs like that. And if they see any reaction on the animals, or if the animals die or they get some serious reactions, then it won't be released into market. That means a test is performed to see the efficacy of that medicine or that product, whatever that product is. To see its efficiency, they actually test it. Like that, when Brahmanas study the mantras, what are these mantras? That when you chant certain mantras, that animal which is being sacrificed, it can be brought back to life. And what type of life? Usually what type of animals are sacrificed? Old animals which are just about to die. They are sacrificed. The idea is when they are sacrificed, they get a new young body instantly. Or they can even get a human form. From the animal they get promotion. They will certainly be benefited. They'll get a better position than what that animal is in the present condition. So to test that, this animal sacrifice is performed. And when the animal sacrifice is performed, when the animal is left, then that is accepted. That is accepted as prasad. Those who eat meat, it's given. But it's not that in order to eat, now you start killing animals. That was not the purpose. That was not the purpose. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself explains this to Chand Kazi. Chand Kazi, the first thing that Mahaprabhu said to Chand Kazi when they actually had a dialogue, Chand Kazi was actually terrorizing all the Hindus and devotees when they would perform Sankirtan. He would send his men with sticks and, to beat anyone who is chanting, performing Kirtan. There should be no Kirtans, no gatherings of devotees, no satsangs, nothing. If they found anyone, usually evening time is when people come together, right? And they do Kirtan like Gaurarti. We come together and we discuss Krishna Katha and have Kirtans. So they would go out, hundreds of men would go out, Chand Kazi's men, to look for anyone who's doing any Kirtan. And if they found anyone doing it, they would beat them, they would confiscate all their property and trouble them, harass them in so many ways. Out of fear of Chand Kazi, the devotees would not do, or they would, they actually went to Mahaprabhu. So then Mahaprabhu said, who is this Chand Kazi? You chant fearlessly. And then when they were chanting like that on the authority of Mahaprabhu, so Chand Kazi's men came, and then Chand Kazi himself came and he broke the mridanga in Srivas Thakur's house where devotees were performing Kirtan. So when Mahaprabhu came to know about this, he arranged for a civil disobedience movement. He called for all the people to come together that evening. They would all march to Chand Kazi's residence. Millions of people with torches in their hands marched. Going through all the villages, they walked along the Ganga. From one ghat to another ghat, they were walking, and finally they arrived at Chand Kazi's home. Chand Kazi was very fearful. He was hiding in the house because the devotees, they were like completely fearless, and they were like, where is that Kazi? We are going to kill him today. They had the strength of Mahaprabhu behind them. So they went, and then Chand Kazi was literally trembling in fear. He wouldn't come outside. And they were demanding, kill the Kazi. And they were knocking, but he wouldn't come out. So then Mahaprabhu sent his men, right? And then finally, Mahaprabhu wants to talk to you, and he came outside, fearing. Then first of all, Mahaprabhu made him, pacified him, right? Pacified him in the sense, made him sit, and he had some, kind of light talks, like, first of all, Mahaprabhu said that, no. He said, I came to your house and you're not even welcoming me. So Chand Kazi said that, you came you're so angry. So I was scared. First, so Chand Kazi said, listen, Nimai, in village relationship, you are my nephew, right? So I'm uncle. I'm like your uncle and you're my nephew. So, you shouldn't take it so seriously. You came here with so many people to attack me like that. So, I'm like your uncle. So then Mahaprabhu said, okay, uncle, mama, I have come to your house. What type of hospitality are you showing that I come to your house and you don't even welcome me and you go and hide? And then he said, yeah, but you were angry. So that's why I thought if I come in front of you, you'll become even angrier. So I was just waiting until your anger subsided. Then I was going to come. So in this way, they had some, the tension was kind of eased. And then, now when they sat down to have a dialogue, at that time Mahaprabhu immediately, right away, he said, "What kind of, my dear uncle, what type of religion do you follow that you kill and eat your father and mother? What type of religion is this?" Chandkarya, "Oh, we kill our father and mother? What are you saying?" So then Mahaprabhu said, "The cow gives you milk, right? Your mother gives you milk. So cow is your mother because you drink her milk. And the bull is plowing the fields by which you are getting grains. Father works to bring grains and feeds the family. So the bull is working hard so that you can get your grains. So the bull is your father and the cow is giving milk, so the cow is your mother. And in your religion, you kill cows and bulls and eat them. What type of religion is this?" So then Chandkaji was also a learned scholar. He also had some idea of the Vedas. So he said, "Oh, how you're saying that this is only our religion? Even your Vedas recommend killing of animals, animal sacrifice is there even in the Vedas?" At that time, Mahaprabhu said this point, that animal sacrifice which is recommended in the Vedas, that is done actually, killing of animals is forbidden in the Shastras. Yes, we read in Srimad Bhagavatam also, if you kill the cow, especially if you kill the cow, you will have to suffer in a particular hell for as many lifetimes as there are hairs on the body of a cow. It is so severe. And any type of animal killing is never approved by the Vedas. Then what about animal sacrifice? Animal sacrifice is a test to experiment the mantras that are being recited by the Brahmanas. Karmakanda, this is Karmakanda. In Karmakanda, the recitation, even how you recite the mantras is very, very precise. If you make a slight mistake, you don't get the result that you're desiring, but you can get the opposite result also. So when they do it very, very carefully, and how do they know that their yajna is successful or not, whether they have recited properly or not? By seeing the animal that is sacrificed, it is immediately brought back to life or not. By that they understand. It's not that they are sacrificing the animal for the sake of just bringing back that. No, you're doing some particular yajna, right? With some kamya, it is some kamya karma, you want some result from that. But how do you know that the yajna is successful or not? How do you test it? When you do this animal sacrifice, the animal is brought back to life. That means that yajna is successful, the mantras were chanted nicely. You know it instantly whether the yajna was successful or not, any mistake was made or not. You can find out immediately. And of course, when some mistakes are made, then there's another karma called prayaschitta karma, right? You have to atone for the mistakes. That's also there, like that. So you can rectify it if you see that there are any mistakes. So it is a science. Certainly it is not done for eating flesh. That's not the purpose of animal sacrifice at all. So, but, sakale neha mahata yogo nashtah parantapa. In due course of time, this yoga got lost, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Like that, the Vedic injunctions also are, as time passes, they are twisted and, the right meaning is not taken. That's just the nature of time. When time passes, things start watering down. Then once again, it has to be re-established. So the Vedic injunctions were being misused. Animal sacrifice was being used for simply killing for the sake of eating. It came to that stage. That's when Lord Buddha appeared. So Lord Buddha abandoned the authority of the Vedic literature and therefore rejected the ritualistic ceremonies and sacrifices recommended in the Vedas. So specifically, which ritualistic ceremonies? Animal sacrifices. His nirvana philosophy means stopping all material activities. Lord Buddha did not recognize the presence of transcendental forms and spiritual activities beyond the material world. So Lord Buddha didn't even say that there is one absolute truth and we should all, nothing, right? Basically, stop all material activities. And what is there after this? He didn't recognize any spiritual activities or absolute truth or spiritual world, nothing. Just stop material activity. That's why it's called Shunyavadi. Shunya means what? Zero. So after you stop material activities, you go into nothingness. That's all. That is Shunyavad, voidism. Lord Buddha did not recognize the presence of transcendental forms and spiritual activities beyond the material world, but he was open, right? We know what he's saying. He rejects the Vedas, so he rejects everything that is said in the Vedas. He simply described voidism beyond this material existence. There's no explanation of absolute truth. After this material world, it's just void. He simply described voidism beyond this material existence. The Māyāvāda philosophers offer lip service to Vedic authority. What is lip service? Lip service means only with your lips you say. Just like I may say, I am a devotee of Krishna. But if I don't act like a devotee, but I just keep advertising myself, I am a devotee. That's called lip service. You understand? There is no surrender. There is no dedication, there is no commitment, but I say I am a devotee. This is lip service. Like that, the Māyāvāda philosophers offer lip service to Vedic authority, that we are followers of Vedas, we follow Vedic authority, like that. They do lip service. Do they actually follow the Vedic authority? No. The Māyāvāda philosophers offer lip service to Vedic authority, but try to escape the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. They concoct some idea of a transcendental position and call themselves Narayan. So they give their own explanation or commentary on the Vedas, imaginary. They concoct means they make up, imaginary. Concoct some idea of a transcendental position, right, that they have achieved, and call themselves Narayan or God. They have already said that Narayan's body is material, right? And now they have become Narayan. However, God's position is completely different from their concoction. What is reality? God's position actually completely different from their concoction. Such Māyāvāda philosophers consider themselves above the influence of karma kanda, fruitive activities and their reactions. For them, the spiritual world is equated with the Buddhist voidism. Actually seeing, right? What are they? It is just like Buddhism, only they give some lips, they do some lip service, calling to the Vedic authority. But in reality, it is just the same as Buddhist voidism. For them, the spiritual world is equated with Buddhist voidism. So they think that they are above the karma kanda, fruitive activities, and for them the spiritual world is nothing but voidism. There is very little difference between impersonalism and voidism. Voidism can be directly understood, but impersonalism enunciated by Māyāvāda philosophers is not very easily understandable. Of course, Māyāvāda philosophers accept a spiritual existence, but they do not know about the spiritual world and spiritual beings. According to Srimad Bhagavatam 10:2-32, Yenyera vindaksha vimukta maninas tvayasta bhavada vishuddha buddhayaha aruhya krichrena param padam tataha patantya dhonadrita yushmadangrayaha. So, the intelligence of the Māyāvādis is not purified. Therefore, even though they practice austerities for self-realization, they cannot remain within the impersonal Brahmajyoti. Consequently, they fall down again into this material world. Yenyera aravindaksha vimukta maninaha. Those who don't accept Aravindaksha means lotus side. Aravindaksha is a name for Krishna. They don't accept Aravindaksha, Krishna, and still they consider themselves to be liberated. Vimukta manina. Consider, they think, they imagine that they are liberated. Although they don't accept Aravindaksha, but still they think they imagine that they are liberated. Tvai asta bhavad Avishuddha buddhayah. Asta. Asta bhava means what? Like Suryasta, right? Asta means what? Setting, going down, or not having enough. So, Asta bhava. What is Asta in them? Bhava. They don't have any bhava for Bhagwan. They don't have any love for Bhagwan, no feeling, no relationship with Bhagwan. Such people, because of a lack of bhava for Bhagwan, their intelligence is not purified. It is impure intelligence. They are thinking they are liberated, but they don't have any bhava for Aravindaksha. Because they don't have any love for Aravindaksha, their intelligence is avishuddha. It is not pure. Aruhya krichrena param padam tatha. With aruhya krichrena, aruhya, they are climbing krichrena with great difficulty. They are trying to make progress. And they may, even if they come, here we should understand, here we are not talking about Māyāvādis actually. We are talking about the Brahmavadis. Right? Brahmavadis means Jnanis. With great difficulty when they perform their Jnana sadhanas, first of all they have to do Nishkama Karma Yoga. Right? Nishkama Karma Yoga means performing karma, giving up the result, attachment to the result of the work, and also attachment to work itself, giving up faith in that work. Like that, gradually they have to, the idea is to realize that I'm not this body. Work is meant for the body, but I'm not this body. It's not easy to do that type of Nishkama Karma Yoga. And after completing that, when they come to the understanding that I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul, then they start Jnana sadhanas. And while doing all this also, to get success in those particular sadhanas, they'll be doing some little bit of bhakti. So like this, with great difficulty, if they come even to the point of Jivan Mukta, this is a Brahmavadi, Jnani. After coming there also, Patanti Adaha Anadrita Yushmad Angraya. Angraya means lotus feet. Anadrita means disrespecting. So even after coming to the state of Jivan Mukta, if they disrespect the lotus feet of the Lord, Patanti Adaha, they will fall down very badly. They'll come all the way down. Like we have snake and ladders, right? You go up to 99 and there, if you are eaten by the snake, you come all the way down to, the first level. Like that. If they commit an offense to the lotus feet of the Lord or to a pure devotee, even from the stage of Jivan Mukta, they will fall down. Jivan Mukta means practically you're liberated, but you're still in this body. But even from that stage, one can fall down. If you don't have, because of Asta Bhava. Asta Bhava means no Bhava, no love for the Supreme Lord. Very risky path. First of all, it's filled with so many difficulties and pains. And even if you manage to come to that stage, it's so risky that you can fall down at any time with a mistake. The intelligence of the Māyāvādis is not purified, therefore even though they practice austerities for self-realization, they cannot remain within the impersonal Brahmajyoti. In spite of their austerities, they cannot remain. Consequently, they fall down again into the material world. The Māyāvādis' conception of... So, when we talk about Māyāvādis, they don't even make any progress because they are offending the personality of Godhead from day one. If you're making offense, how you can make any progress? You cannot. Because the only way anyone is making progress in any path, whether it is jnana or it is yoga or karma for that matter, the only way someone is able to make progress is because of the mercy of bhakti. When they do little bit of bhakti, by that bhakti they make some progress. But if you commit offenses, grave offenses to Bhagavan, then how you will make any progress? Māyāvādis go to hell. The Māyāvādis' conception of spiritual existence is almost identical to the negation of material existence. Right? What is spiritual existence? Negation of material existence is spiritual existence, according to Māyāvādis. The Māyāvādis believe that there is nothing positive in spiritual life. As a result, they cannot understand devotional service or the worship of the Supreme Person Satchidananda Vigraha. The Mayavadi philosophers consider deity worship in devotional service to be Pratibimbavada. So I told you, right? They have different philosophies. One of the philosophies is Pratibimbavada. Bimba means the original, Pratibimba means the reflection. So they consider deity worship and devotional service to be Pratibimbavada, or the worship of a form that is the reflection of a false material form. You understand? Pratibimba means reflection. Reflection of what? A reflection of Ishvara. Who is Ishvara? According to them, a material form made of goodness. So deity worship is worship of a form that is a reflection of a false material form. Thus, the Lord's transcendental form, which is eternally blissful and full of knowledge, is unknown to Mayavadi philosophers. Although the term Bhagavan is explicitly described in Srimad Bhagavatam, they cannot understand it. Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavan iti shabdyate. Right? That absolute truth is understood as Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. Bhagavan is given, but they cannot understand Bhagavan. The absolute truth is called Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 11. The Mayavadis try to understand Brahman only, or at the most Paramatma. Yes, sometimes you also have those who follow yoga practice, but their goal is Brahman. So they realize they use Paramatma for meditation, and then they pull their hearts away because their goal is ultimately Brahman. So they realize Paramatma also, but they can never realize Bhagavan. The Mayavadis try to understand Brahman only, or at the most Paramatma. However, they are unable to understand Bhagavan. Therefore, they see Bhagavan as an obstacle. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna says, Māyāya pahrita jnana. Maya se apahrit ho gaya hai uska gyan. Apahrit means stolen. By Maya, his knowledge is stolen. That is a Mayavadi. Māyāya apahrita jnana. Because of the temperament of the Mayavadi philosophers, real knowledge is taken from them. That is why, simply by reading Vedas, you are not going to come to the right conclusion. They are studying Vedanta all the time. That's what Sarvabhauma Bhattacarya is doing now to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is trying to teach him Vedanta. Why? By studying Vedanta, you will stay on the, on the platform of the soul, on Brahman platform, right? That I'm not this body, but I'm a soul. On the spiritual platform, you will remain on that so that you don't fall down. So they're studying, that's their sadhana. Studying Vedas, Vedanta, that's their sadhana. But are they coming to the right conclusion by studying Shastra? No. So simply studying is not sufficient. So real knowledge is taken from them, even though they are studying because of their offense, right? Because of the temperament of the Mayavadi philosophers, real knowledge is taken from them because they cannot receive the mercy of the Lord. And how do you get the mercy of the Lord? You can get the mercy of the Lord when you get the mercy of a devotee. But they didn't get the mercy of a devotee, so they didn't get the mercy of the Lord. They will always be bewildered by his transcendental form. That means they will think that this is a material form. Impersonal philosophy destroys the three phases of knowledge: Jnana, Gyeya, Gyata. Right? Jnanam is knowledge. Gyeya means that which is to be known. Gyata is the knower. One who knows is Gyata. That which is to be known is Gyeya or Gyayam. And Jnana is the knowledge. So impersonal philosophy destroys the three phases of knowledge: Jnanam, Gyayam and Gyata. As soon as one speaks of knowledge, there must be a person who is the knower, the knowledge itself, and the object of knowledge. What are you trying to know by this knowledge? Mayavad philosophy combines these three categories. Therefore, the Mayavadis cannot understand because they say it's all one, right? Knowledge, knower, and known is all one, they say. They combine these three categories. Therefore, the Mayavadis cannot understand how the spiritual potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead act. Like we discussed yesterday or day before, Chinmatra, right? The Lord is absolute truth is Chinmatra and Avikari. They only consider that. They don't consider Bheda and Abheda. So therefore they cannot understand the spiritual potencies of the Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead. Because of their poor fund of knowledge, they cannot understand the distinction in the spiritual world between knowledge, the knower, and the object of knowledge. Because of this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu considers the Mayavadi philosophers more dangerous than the Buddhists. They cannot understand the distinction in the spiritual world between knowledge, the knower, and the object of knowledge. Why Mahaprabhu is considering them more dangerous? Because they can't understand the difference between knowledge, knower, and the known in the spiritual world. See, Buddhists are not even accepting a spiritual world, right? They're just saying it's just void. Here they say they're going to the spiritual realm, but in the spiritual realm, according to them, it is just as good as void. There's no distinction between the knower, the known, knowledge. It's as good as void. That's why it's called covered voidism, covered atheism. So Mahaprabhu, because it's cheating, right? In the garb of being a follower of Vedas, they're propagating the same thing. So they're more dangerous than the Buddhists. So we'll stop there. Thank you very much. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.